Hi, everyone. I'm Kyler from the Content Mix, and I'm excited to be here with Alan Formigoni, Content and Email Marketing Manager at WeTravel. Originally from Brazil, Alan has always been passionate about traveling and marketing. From an almost 2 year background backpacking trip to Australia to founding a service oriented travel company called World Packers, Alan has let his passion shape his career and not the other way around. Now based in Lisbon, Portugal, Alan has embarked on a new journey in a new market, and we're excited to learn more about his career today. So let's get the show started. And I want to start by thanking Alan for joining us. So thank you so much for joining us today on the Content Mix.
Hey, Kyle, thanks for having me.
No, it's our pleasure. So I kind of just gave you a nice little introduction, but I kind of want you to introduce yourself in your own words. So could you just tell us a bit more about who you are, where you're from, and what's your connection to content marketing in Europe?
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I'm Alan, from originally from São Paulo, Brazil, and I'm the content marketing manager at WeTravel, which is basically a payment platform for travel companies. The company is based in Amsterdam, but I'm based in Lisbon right now, so I just arrived to Europe. So I'm glad to have this conversation with you.
And how's that transition been coming to Europe after living in South America from your mostly your life?
Yeah, I mean, it's been busy. Like moving to a different country, it's busy. It's not like I'm traveling like a digital nomad or something. I mean, I really want to stay here for a while, so we have all this bureaucracy to take care of.
Mm.
But I mean, it's been wonderful, so I can't complain.
Yeah, you can't complain. We were just talking before we started the interview recording that I also just moved to Lisbon and we're both going through very similar
Yeah,
processes. It's not fun, but it's totally worth it.
yeah,
Um,
it is.
Now, I kind of want to know because you did make this shift. You're working for a company now based in Amsterdam and you're now living in Lisbon, originally from Brazil. What's your typical day at work like? And what are your areas of responsibility?
So I basically oversee our content strategy and also our inbound strategy. And to be honest, because I just started the company, we just started building our marketing team from the ground, basically. So most of my tasks lately have been related to like setting up the right tools for the team or setting up the right process for us, because we basically felt that we were missing the right structure to take, let's say, to take our content efforts to the next level. So
Hmm.
we also felt that we were missing some data visibility to help us with like make the right decisions.
Hmm.
So this is basically what I've been doing lately, just making sure we have like everything we need in order to succeed.
So it's kind of like not only in your life are you starting from the ground up in a new country, but
Yeah,
also in your job. So it's just definitely
that's
a
right.
lot of new things and challenges coming to you. But I also kind of want to learn more about your background in Brazil. So like obviously for work reasons you moved to Europe, but I kind of want to know like was it something that you always had in mind? And also kind of what differences have you found so far? Because it seems like you just, you're starting this new role and you're kind of building the marketing department at the company itself. So, kind of what differences have you found in marketing between the two markets? Maybe like the more shocking things between like South America and then EMEA.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So yeah, I always wanted to come to like to live in Europe for a while. I mean, I have traveled around and I have visited some places, but I don't know. I just felt that was the right time for me to come and try it because I don't know. Thanks to the pandemic, I felt I was working remotely, and then I just felt was the right time and the right opportunity to try out. So that's what I did basically. In terms of market difference, I'm still learning, of course, because especially now that I'm transitioning between from a B2C background to a B2B one.
Hmm.
So my previous company was like a B2B, sorry, a B2C marketplace, and now I'm working for a B2B, like basically like a SaaS platform. So I'm still learning like how to better understand final customers, like final customers now are basically companies. So this is one of my challenges right now.
Hmm.
But I would say that South American markets in general are more price sensitive, I guess.
Hmm.
Also, I would say there are some important difference between acquisition channels. So they definitely might change from one country to another, but from like a rural region to another one. So, like just one example, right now we have some companies, like for my current company, we have some clients, sorry, that are they are based in Latin, and
Hmm.
they use a lot of like Facebook groups to get in touch, to be in touch like with their own community. which might be a little bit different from companies in the US, for example, that might use different tools. So in terms of where you find your customers or where you find prospects and everything, I realized that this might change from one place to another.
Exactly. Especially because of the cultural differences and the way just how businesses. I was listening to a podcast this morning about like life in Portugal
Yeah,
because I've been listening to it a lot for the transitioning. And that was one thing. The girl was from Belgium and she was just saying how much business is so different in Portugal. So I think one thing too that people say in Europe is it's really, I don't know, challenging because there's so many different cultures and like ways of living in one place. While compared to the other
yeah.
places like South America, like Brazil itself, is like the size of Europe. So it's kind of, but it's kind of a similar culture, although there's differences within it. Same with the US. So it's definitely exciting to, well, definitely listen to other podcast episodes because you're not the first Brazilian to come to Europe and to be on the show. And they had a lot of really interesting
Nice.
insight about the differences. But I also kind of wanted to know, like at We Travel in your current role, like who is your target audience? Like what markets are you guys working in?
So yeah, so we support small and medium-sized travel businesses, and our platform is just made for them to so they can like sell more of their tourist trips or
Mhm.
whatever travel product related that they have.
Yeah, so it's cool, like it's actually a cool industry to be in too with travel. And now the next question I have for you is related to your life and kind of your interest in travel. So it's really cool to see how like your personal interest is also reflected in your job. Now, when I was doing research about you before the interview, I learned that you kind of did something really cool, interesting post graduation, which a lot of people, at least in like the US, for example, where I'm from, it's not common to take like a sabbatical or a gap year. It's very much like you go to school and you go right to the into the workforce because kind of the American
Yeah.
mindset that we have. But you took time off after graduating from university and you set off to Australia. And I think you also traveled in that region as well of the world. And you just
Yeah.
took your backpack and you had a desire to just explore the world. So, what did you find most rewarding about that experience and how has it impacted your career?
Oh, it was definitely rewarding, especially in terms of getting more like self-knowledge. So getting
Hmm.
to know myself better and getting some new life perspectives. Because when you're, I don't know, when you're getting in touch with new cultures and like different people from your hometown, you just get like those new perspectives about life and everything.
Hmm.
And it definitely shaped like my professional life because after traveling, I felt that I really wanted to be part of a project with some kind of purpose behind it. So uh, right after traveling, I just started looking for some companies or projects where I could feel some kind of like fulfillment, not just like
Hmm.
working for working, but somewhere where I could, I don't know, just help and like connect my purpose with. So definitely shaped my professional life later on.
That's really cool. And traveling, I always think people kind of like I don't know. They underestimate like the benefits of traveling. I think whether or not that you're like you have like you're working in a travel industry and something that you're passionate about, but I think even for those who aren't, just like going and exploring different cultures can really like open your mind to different perspectives, different like viewpoints, and just yeah, it kind of makes you a better global citizen, which I think nowadays is really, really important.
Yeah,
Now,
definitely.
you have your like initial like background is in business administration and sales and marketing, and you've received a bachelor's administration from Escola Superior de Propaganda e Marketing in Brazil, and work experience as an inside sales representative at Sales Talent Digital. So I work in sales as well, so it's kind of my realm. But where did your interest in content marketing come from? Because your background is more sales marketing, more traditional, I would say, and then kind of shifted to content
Yeah,
marketing.
yeah, definitely. To be honest, it has nothing to do with my previous experience. Because basically, yeah, it just kind of happened because uh, I I experienced this transition from like traditional marketing to digital marketing. So
Mm,
when I was like studying, it was more of like traditional marketing and like trying to prepare you for like working for I don't know for big corporations and everything. Those like this startup thing was just starting at least in Brazil, so was really like not like unplanned.
mhm,
So being part of a startup from like day one was really helpful because basically when you are starting like company or you are part of early stage startup, you basically learn a bit of everything
mhm,
because you have to deal with everything, right? And I'm not talking only about marketing, but I was also helping like with, I don't know, like customer service, even like product,
Hmm.
everything. And one of the things that I most related to was the content marketing part, because at some point we were doing a lot of stuff in our early stage marketing team. So
Hmm.
that's when I started learning about content marketing and SEO and all those like related stuff. So again, it was not being planned, but it just felt right when I was learning
Doing it.
about it. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people that I have on the show always say that. It's kind of like circumstance led them to where they are. And kind of
yeah,
I was a linguist and I did translations and I did content creation. Then I ended up working in it and then now I'm selling it. So it's kind of like this whole like full circle. But I never, graduated university saying I'm going to be in content marketing. But it just happens. And I feel like right
yeah,
now it's kind of gotten a lot of more, the buzz around content marketing is very high. It's something that people are really interested in. So it's definitely like a needed skill to have. So it's definitely exciting that you were able to do
definitely.
that and work on that. Now, in 2014, you started kind of this content marketing career path with a role as head of content and SEO at World Packers, a company which you founded. Now, for those who are listening who don't know what World Packers is, it's an online travel and social marketplace for people to find unique exchange opportunities to share their skills and receive accommodation. So, through experiences such as English for teaching English for Thai children or working on a beautiful beach in the northeastern part of Brazil. So, I feel like this also reflects what you were saying before about your sabbatical in Australia, how you kind of learned how you wanted to give back while traveling. So, I kind of want to know more though about how did the opportunity come about? Was this like a passion project, which I'm assuming it was? And was it easy to combine your skills in marketing and business with your passion for travel and giving back?
Cool. So yeah,
The big
basically,
question.
yeah, no, but I mean, was really cool because when I came back, like after traveling 2 years, I really felt that I wanted to like give more people this opportunity, especially in Brazil, because it might be like more expensive to travel, especially abroad. So I just felt that I wanted more people to have those same kind of experience that I did because it definitely changed my life.
Hmm.
And then when I came back to São Paulo, I was just looking for again like for projects or companies that like somehow could like fulfill that void of trying to help people.
Hmm.
So I just met one of WordPacker's co-founders, and then because of a friend, was like a common friend that we had, like someone we had in common. So
Hmm.
I just asked him, okay, do you need some kind of help? And they were just starting the project. I mean, they didn't have any like structure or employees or any kind of revenue, so they didn't have like any salaries or anything. But I just fell in love for the project, and I felt was a really nice way of just giving back with everything I learned from traveling and trying to help other people to have the same
Hmm.
kind of experience. So it was definitely a passion project. I remember back in the days, I think we worked, I don't know, for 6 or 7 months before we got our first salary, everyone. I mean,
Wow.
yeah, so everybody was kind of volunteering. And then once the project hit off, it was like easier to, I don't know, like getting more people to help us and hire first employees and everything. But was definitely rewarding because everything I learned about content marketing, I learned through Wordpackers. So yeah, I'm definitely grateful.
That's awesome. Now, I just kind of want to, it's a really cool. First, I wanted to say it's really cool that you kind of took this risk, something that you're passionate about, didn't get paid for 6 to 7 months. Like,
Yeah,
I feel like that's a hard part about being an entrepreneur in that sense, but it's really cool that you kind of went ahead and did it, regardless of it being comfortable or not. I just wanted to know too, like, how did it work? Like, World Backpackers, like, do you like just like find a destination, then you like kind of pick what you want to do, like what service you want to do, and then you go, or how does the process work?
yeah, we changed like our business model a few times because we were like testing different stuff. But today, the way it works is basically you pay for a annual subscription, and then you
Mhm.
have access to all those different projects, and then you can get in touch by
Ah,
yourself.
that's
So
cool.
basically, easier way to find those like really nice projects. You can see like online reviews from past volunteers, from like
Mm.
other travelers who help that specific project, and then you can get in touch and agree everything on like how you help or when you'll
Mhm.
be helping, when you'll be traveling to that specific destination. So it's a really nice experience in terms of cultural immersion. It's definitely the best way if you really want to get to know like like a specific culture or a place. I would say it's definitely the best way because you'll be staying longer, you'll be living among local people. So yeah, it's like not a tourist experience at all.
Yeah.
So it's definitely authentic. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like the trips I've done that have had that focus have been really rewarding. And like you said, you learn so much just because you're in it. You're not just like seeing it from the outside. You're actually experiencing the culture and the people with the people.
Yeah.
Um, Now, you said you also like got your exposure to content marketing there, but it wasn't just that. I mean, at this company, you were coordinating content production with local content editors and over 100 writers from all over the world. So with in-house production and outsourced creation and translation. Now, this is something that like is a pain point, if I can tell from different people in the industry, about how do I manage so many people and kind of coordinate everything and keep everything unified. So I want to ask you, how did you manage a team that was so large and working with so many different working parts? And why was localization, so like having these people in the local markets writing the content for you, so important for you and for the company's overall messaging?
Awesome. Yeah. So basically, most of our writers were like freelancing writers, and they were just traveling around. And most of them were, I think, not most of them, like pretty much all of them were traveling with Wordpackers. So they were using our product, which was great. And because they were traveling with Wordpackers, they were volunteering and they were like trying to find ways of making some extra money while they were traveling, so they could travel even more.
Mm-hmm.
And this really worked out for us because we wanted like everything that we were trying to build in terms of content were related to travel. So like destination guides or travel tips or how can you travel on a budget or how
Mm-hmm.
can you travel more or how like to backpack to in one specific destination. And we actually knew the people that were traveling through those
Mm-hmm.
destinations, which were all travelers. So it really worked because they were there so they could write like the best and most authentic content possible about that specific destination,
Mm-hmm.
which is definitely something that I would say that made our content really stand out among everything else because we know that we have a lot of travel related content online today. So it really this kind of experience really helped us. And what we did as well, because we have a lot of like freelancing writers, I think we were really good at setting up like the right process and the right,
Mm-hmm.
let's say like the right quality guidelines. So we had like a few guidelines that we were using to make sure they were following our instructions. And also we always try to make sure that every time we onboard like a new writer, we were like showing them like the way we write or sending like some like templates and examples of things that we were looking for. Um, and we were really good to assign the type of like the topic that we were looking for. So they didn't just send us like whatever they wanted to send.
Right.
So I think it was really like the organization was really a key point for us to be able to to work with so many writers. And I also had like local content managers for each of the main languages that Wordpackers was working with. So English, Spanish, and Portuguese. So
Mm-hmm.
we have local managers to deal directly with writers in their own native language, which was great to like show them what to do and help them writing some pieces. And I think the toughest part was sometimes we would work with writers that, I mean, they didn't have much experience or they were just getting started. And we really felt that we could like teach them and show them how to become better writers. So we really took some time to share the skills we had built at Wordpackers working with content to show them like and try to teach them to become like better writers or even better like content editors in
Mm-hmm.
general. So it was hard, especially at the beginning, but I think we set the right process in how we could
And what
try to show them.
languages were you writing in? What was the content in? Which languages?
Portuguese, English, and Spanish.
Mm.
And related to your second question, I think that was really important. I remember when we first, like the Workpackers was launched in English because it was like a global platform, so it just made sense uh, to launch it in English. But I remember when we translated to Portuguese and then Spanish, we had like so many more like website visitors and conversions and everything. So it was definitely a huge thing for us, and especially in terms of content. Well, I think it was really important first because like our target market is, so it's way easier to
Mm.
communicate with those markets if you are speaking their own language, especially because we are talking to young people. So let's say in Portuguese, we could use like local slangs because we are like our targeted
Mhm.
audience is basically people from 20 to 30 was basically that. Also because of SEO, of course. So let's say like if I'm Brazilian, I'll probably Google something in Portuguese before I search something in English. Uh, and a lot of people don't speak English, so in those countries, so it's just easier to search for online information in your own language. So this was
Language.
definitely important. Yeah. And also in terms of product education, I would say, because our at least Wordpackers was not like the most simple thing, simple product to use because it's traveling. You need to get like a lot of information, and you need to research a lot of information. So it's always better, I would say, when you can like show that information in their own native language and like teach how to use your product and everything in their own language instead of
Mhm.
just doing it in English. So in our case, it really worked. It really paid off. So
Yeah, it's really important. And I think what your approach to in this role to have like the people who are actually traveling to tell their own stories is really, really exciting. And I think kind of stays true to what the brand was to be an authentic, to provide these authentic experiences. So
yeah,
might as well have the people who are doing these experiences right and tell their story firsthand. And I think that's a really like unique approach. Cause I do think that a lot of companies are like, we need professional writers, and it's more work, obviously, to, you know, like you said before, you had to give them assistance with the writing and editing and teaching them kind of different tips and tricks to produce blog posts and stuff like that. But it gave you like a really good, authentic, you know, firsthand experience that you could share with your audience to like raise
yeah,
awareness.
and I would even add that I agree that we should like it depends on like your audience and your niche. You should get like professional writers, but in your case, because we were like a travel company,
Mm,
it mattered more like having professional travelers, let's say like that,
yeah.
than writers because we could edit those pieces, but we could not get like the authentic and real life travel experience they were having.
Yeah.
Of course, we could just Google how to like top tips to travel to Brazil,
Right.
but it's not the same. I mean, we wanted someone like traveling through Brazil to share their experience. So for us, it was more important having someone traveling there and
Hmm.
teaching them how to ride than the other way around. But I
For
mean,
sure.
I would say that really depends on your audience and your business and
Model.
everything. So
And,
for us, it worked. Yeah.
for sure. Now we did touch upon a bit about what you do at WeTravel, but I kind of was curious to know like what kind of content are you guys producing at WeTravel? Is it blog post or like what are your like what's your goals? Because I know that you're still starting the department and working on that too. So kind of what did you have in mind for the content strategy for WeTravel?
Yeah, so the content strategy is based on one main goal right now, which is basically bringing more inbound leads to our company.
Hmm.
Um, of course, at the same time, we want to make sure we build our authority and our reputation as a tough leader in our industry.
Hmm.
Because again, it's just like a big transition from B2C to B2B. In B2B, you need to care more about like your reputation,
Exactly.
uh, especially because we are a payment platform and a payment solution. Like our clients really want to make sure that we are like like serious and we are a safe
Hmm.
company and they can trust on us because they can trust their money with us. So this is like building like a reputation as a brand is really really important, and this is what we are trying to do. Of course, it's not like a short term thing. It's always something that you are building up. But so I would just split between bringing more inbound leads to the company and also showing WeTravel as a top leader in our industry.
That's awesome. Now I have to ask you because you have all this experience, right, with content, and we just really dove into your experience before and now at WeTravel. What has been an example of a piece of content or a campaign that's really worked well for you, and why did it work well?
Like at WeTravel, our webinars have been working
Hmm.
really, really well. Uh, I would say that they work really well because our users can get more in-depth information rather than just like reading a simple blog post. Um, and we do make sure that we ask the right questions to
Mm,
whatever we are interviewing. And again, I think it's definitely related to like our business and to our clients, to our audience, because they really want to get like in-depth information about some specific topics. So yeah, the webinars for sure. And some of our ebooks have been downloaded like thousands of times, which is great as well.
mm,
And again, I think it's related to like really in-depth information. And not only in-depth information, but in our case, for example, some companies, they are looking for information on how to grow their businesses, right?
mm,
So they want to understand how to like do better marketing or how to work with social media in their own niche. And I think we succeed at building content, like not only broad content about, let's say, marketing or growth, but
mhm,
content that is really, really specific to travel industry or to some travel segments, like the ones our clients are part of. So like multi-day travel companies and group
mhm,
travel companies or international tour operators. So I think we succeed in building content that is really specific.
mhm,
Like again, like one example, like how to do marketing for if you are a tour operator, and not just like how to do marketing in general.
mhm.
So I think that's what, like a really good example.
Yeah, and it's a strategy that really adds value to like the audience, the target audience, the people who are interested, whether or not they want to, work with WeTravel. They kind of it's you're giving people like knowledge and information that's interesting to them. So it's kind of nice that you're doing that as well as building this awareness for WeTravel and the services you all offer. Now, I always ask this question to people because you're someone that has plenty of experience in marketing. What do you think are like the most important skills to have as a marketer nowadays? In this crazy globalizing
Yeah,
world that we're in.
definitely. I mean, we have all these marketing like areas and like different stuff that you can do there. Like they can be really different from one to another, but I wouldn't say that you need to nail like every marketing skill, but I believe it's definitely helpful when you have like at least a broad idea of different marketing areas and how they connect. So let's
Right.
say like content marketing with like branding or SEO with paid media or social media with affiliation models. So again, I don't think you need to like be an expert. I think it's impossible to be honest to be an expert in each one of them. But I would say that it definitely helps, especially as you like grow your career or I don't know, you want to like become a better marketer. If you have some like broad knowledge about each of those specific marketing
Yeah.
areas, also the ability or yeah, like that, yeah, the ability to understand, communicate, or even argue with even on a similar level with other teams.
Hmm.
So with sales, with product team, with like technology teams, I think that's definitely important because at least trying to speak the same language, because at some point you need to deal with those things and you all be working together towards the same goal. So
Yeah, it's kind of just like figuring out what like you're the puzzle piece where you fit in the puzzle, whether it be like, okay, if I'm doing SEO, where does this fit in the bigger picture? And if I'm in marketing, doing content marketing, where does that fit in the bigger picture of the company? So it's kind of the idea of just kind of knowing, being aware of what's going on around you and what role, right? That each
yeah,
thing
yeah,
you're
and
doing
also
plays.
yeah, and also I don't know, at least like from my connections, my network, I see that a lot of content marketers they have this I don't know writing background, so they might be like journalists or they like writing. That's why they
Right.
go into content marketing. Uh, but sometimes I feel that it's of course writing is one of the things that you can do as a content marketer, but you should definitely get more like a strategic mindset and not just
Mm,
like knowing how to write. So
yeah.
I feel sometimes people will just like stick with like writing good things, whatever they feel like it's can be like a good writing thing, and not learn or get like this really deep dive into like really marketing strategic concepts. So
Yeah, and that always can be hard with the writer because it's their craft. So you try and tell them you
yeah,
need to write a
yeah.
certain way to get more, SEO and do all this stuff, and sometimes it can be hard for
Yeah.
them. But it's all
Yeah,
about
I would say
balance.
like yeah, you're first a marketer and then and then you are a writer. So
Yeah, it's hard to tell people that sometimes, but it is true. Like just to
yeah.
have that kind of just to understand why you're doing what you're doing and what effect it will have. Now, kind of talking more about recommendations, because you're giving us some, ideas about skills that are important to have as a marketer. And I feel like nowadays everyone's talking about habits and daily routines. And I'm definitely a person that consumes that information too. I'm really fascinated to know like why successful people do certain things every day and how it affects their success. So I have to ask to you now, as a guest in the show, what daily habits do you have or do you do that attribute to your success that you could share with our audience?
Uh, I think the ability to manage your time really well, especially now that a lot of people are working from home, is like crucial, like
Mhm.
nowadays. So being able to manage your time with and now we don't have like an office. We have like basically you're probably working from your, I don't know, your like living room or your
Yeah.
room, something like that. So I would say like trying to find some like ways of really like managing your time. Um, I try to keep like my email closed pretty much all the time, so I just don't keep looking at it. Trying to manage in terms of how many times I check my Slack notifications or messages. So like some basic stuff, especially now that we are migrating from like office
Yeah.
to working online. At least this is my case right now. Um, and I also love reading about like content in general or marketing in general because to be honest, things are like changing like really, really fast. So the more you can get updated, it's better. Again, I don't feel that I can be an expert in everything marketing
Mhm.
related. I think that's impossible, but um, at least trying to learn whatever I can, especially in terms of content marketing and like new
Mhm.
trends, and also new trends that are specific to my industry. Because again, this might change a lot from industry to industry. So
Right.
again, nothing like too much special. Like trying to
No.
exercise, meditation is
But
really what I like to
I
do.
think those are really important things. I think
Yeah,
the first one you really touched, like just working from home. I think a lot of people have struggled with like this balance. I feel like there's some people that
yeah,
overwork and they work themselves too much, and there's other people that don't really have struggles paying attention because they're not in like an environment. And I think what you said is just knowing how to manage your time and kind of regulate yourself and to make sure you're being efficient. Now, also, I think another good habit is just like staying on top of everything in terms of trends and what's going on in the world of content marketing. I think that's a good habit to have because, as I said before, it's really hard to navigate sometimes because the world's like every day there's something like there's something new or something that you have to keep up with. And I was just wondering, like you said, you read a lot about content marketing. Where do you read? Where do you get this information? Do you read books? Do you read websites, blogs?
yeah. I usually read some websites and blogs. So I really love animals.com, which they are basically like a content marketing agency, but they have like their blog is really good. Uh,
Mhm.
for like more SEO specific related content, I really like Ahrefs blog. Uh, CXL, they definitely have like some really amazing courses that are really specific to content marketing. So I would definitely recommend them. In terms of like what I envision for with travel or what I like some reference to, okay, so let's say these guys are doing like really good content marketing. I
Mhm.
love First Round Review. I mean, they have like this great blog with a lot of resources and the way they interview their guests is, I think it's amazing. And it's definitely something that I look up until when I'm thinking on our content strategy.
Right.
Yeah. So, and in terms of, I don't know, like if I can give any like travel related tip for a book or something, because I think it might help in
Yeah.
terms of like reading like some random stuff. I really love a book called Travels by Michael Crichton. I don't know like how to spell his name, but I think it's Michael Crichton.
Okay.
Uh, so it's a really nice book about like traveling and like some things that you can learn when you are traveling. It's a really good one.
Oh, I want to read
Um,
that.
yeah. It's a really cool one. And again, just one last like recommendation. I wouldn't call like an habit, but one thing that I do a lot and definitely helps me is like asking for help and asking people questions for things that I don't know, and especially to people in my industry. So if I have anything like any like content or inbound marketing related question, I would just ask people that I think they are doing like a really good job. So I'm just
Yeah.
like researching. I'll go to LinkedIn and try to find like content marketers or marketers that are working for companies that I admire. So, and usually they are really, really approachable. So just don't be afraid of asking help or asking people questions or connections. This
I
is
love
really
that.
helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we want to do with the content mix is just like build that community of like a networking place. Like, we have like a Facebook group and stuff like that, and that really
Awesome.
helps to
Yeah.
bring people together and share tips. And honestly, like every person I've met so far for this podcast has been so like open and friendly and just willing to share advice. And I feel like you just said, like that's what you need to do is kind of but be humble in a way and be like, okay, I don't know how this is, or I need to get help, and just ask people. I feel like LinkedIn has become this really cool tool that you can kind of reach out to random people and they help
Yeah.
you, which is really nice because usually sometimes
Yeah.
in our world, nowadays people just are like, don't talk to me, or, like that mentality of, I don't know, not helping each other. And I feel like that's been the opposite in my experience and from what you are saying too in yours. So it's really cool to like kind of use LinkedIn as a tool to learn more and have knowledge sharing, which I think is great. So we've come to the end of our interview. Unfortunately, I feel like we could talk a lot more about different things. I was fascinated about your
Yeah.
travels and kind of the work you've been doing and content marketing. But to kind of wrap everything up nicely, I wanted to ask if you have any like parting advice for our audience, for people listening today, things that maybe from your career that you wish you knew before, or things that you think people should know if they're interested in content marketing.
Um,
Big
yeah,
question.
good question. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, again, I mean, just like don't be afraid of asking questions, like to ask for help from anyone, no matter like if they are, I don't know, like C-level or whatever.
Hmm.
Just go for it. Never forget to communicate with your users, with your audience. I think this is like really, really important because it's really easy to find like content and like trying to learn about content marketing, but by the end of the day, it's really specific, like for your what your audience is looking for, or where they hang out, or what
Hmm.
type of content they are looking for. So it's really specific to that. And I would approach content as like with a product mindset, like it's kind of a product for what you're building is kind of a product for your audience. So uh, just make sure that you get in touch with your audience to make sure that they are getting the relevant information they are looking for and that you are being really helpful and not just like blogging because everybody says that you should be blogging about. So
Yeah, it's more than that. Now, you also set yourself up because you were talking about how great it is to reach out to other people online. Now, I have to ask you, what's the best way to get in touch with you? So maybe someone might have questions for you now after listening to his interview. So I kind of we contacted you from the Content Mix on LinkedIn. I know you're active on LinkedIn, but are you active on any other platforms, or is LinkedIn the best way?
yeah, I would say LinkedIn is the best way. But anyone who have any questions or just want to talk about content or traveling or anything, just reach me through LinkedIn and be happy to have these conversations.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Alan, for joining us today and sharing your insights. It was nice to connect to someone else that's based in Lisbon, and to learn more about your experience coming here and this kind of starting this new role, but also your previous experience traveling the world and starting this really cool company back in Brazil. So thank you so much. I'm sure our audience is going to enjoy it. And as always, thanks everyone for listening in. For more perspectives on the content marketing industry in Europe, check out veracontent.com/mix and keep tuning to the podcast for more interviews with content experts. We'll see you next time. Thanks again, Alan.
Thanks, Skylar. Thanks, everyone.